MC for the rest of the half hour. April Foreman, who is a fabulous superpower in so many different areas, but if you're in mental health, suicide prevention, she is the rock star of suicide prevention social media. And I don't even know how else to describe you other than your
I think you should stop. So I can't, are we on? I can't wait to introduce our next speaker. This is Sophie B. Liu. So she is here, was telling me all about FEMA. So her mission is to help people connect in the service of relieving pain and suffering in the wake of a disaster and reestablishing order, right? Sophia does this as an innovation specialist with the United States Geological Survey. Introducing Sophie B. Liu.
Thank you. And it is Sophia B. Liu,
Oh,
I'm sorry. But no worries, it's not a big deal. So yeah, I work as an innovation specialist at the U.S. Geological Survey. I've had the fortunate opportunity to be supporting FEMA over the last few weeks right after Hurricane Harvey happened. And it's incredible just to be at the National Response Coordination Center and really observe and be an ethnographer and understand what kind of information is being shared, what challenges are occurring in sharing data and communicating that information to help make decisions in a very difficult environment, both in an emergency operations center away from the impact zone, as well as understanding what happens in those impact zones. So yeah, oh yeah, the slides. So I think we have a unique opportunity, and this was almost a perfect storm, no pun intended, but in terms of this National Day of Civic Hacking happening right now, it really aligns with an opportunity of how we can leverage the crowd in many different ways, both here as well as remotely, to help respond to this disaster and any future one. So there's 3 projects that we're going to be pitching and having people work on. And I have to say, I really appreciate Kristen and all the folks here to help join forces and merge the Hurricane Hackathon event that I was helping to organize and bring this together, because this is really what it's about, is getting people to come together and work on these projects and learn from these new things. So what the 3 projects are one, FEMA created a crowdsourcing damage assessment application. So essentially, it just pulls in Civil Air Patrol imagery as well as some drone imagery and asks people to identify which buildings have different kinds of severity of damage. So this really helps speed up, the process of funding these survivors in terms of getting the relief that they need much more quickly, and just making it easier for the analysts to figure out where exactly they should focus their efforts. The other project is focused on just all the different open data streams that are available. So this was actually the crowdsourcing damage assessment. We're trying to make it available as open source, so that way maybe you can adapt it and enhance some of its features. There's also this this geospatial open data hub. And that's really where the government is really trying to bring together all the geospatial data sets together. So feel free to leverage that and create some open data visualizations. And then the last project is there's always these crowd mapping efforts in OpenStreetMap. Anytime a disaster happens, there's an incredible amount of mappers immediately crowd mapping OpenStreetMap for specific kinds of information after a disaster. So there's quite a few projects already out there for Hurricane Maria and previously for Harvey and Irma. So I hope you'd be interested in checking it out. I really want to just say it's been an incredible effort of having, in just one day, 50 in-person volunteers sign up, and then over 150 remote volunteers, just in one day. And that's an incredible kind of interest in such a short period of time, so it really shows the potential. And I just want to also invite my colleagues from FEMA to see if they have a few words they'd like to share. So Brian Appleby and Tim Smith. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. So we had to put the pen down in the NRCC for a couple moments to come over here and support, and we're really happy to be here. Very interested in, we as FEMA can't openly direct anybody outside of the federal government to come and help us do stuff. But what we're constantly trying to do is take the social media, crowdsourcing, any of those things, and try to passively look at how we can get other feeds of information to assist in our decision making and our operations priorities. this, I think, is an excellent opportunity to, these 3 projects especially, there's hundreds more, but what we're trying to do in FEMA is get our minds and hands around all that is out there and trying to sift through everything, and maybe we can get some help from the folks in here.
Yeah, I think one of our biggest challenges is situational awareness. So right now, you know, Texas is stable. We're getting stability in Florida, but the islands, St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John's, and especially Puerto Rico and the other smaller islands, with the power outage and the communications outage, we don't know yet. And trying to get whatever information is out there and put a coherent picture together so that we can make good decisions about where resources need to go. It's not, you know, not like you can just drive a whole bunch of people down the road. The bucket trucks that go to every disaster to restore power is not available to us in the islands. So we get them there in smaller quantities, and we need to focus them in the right place. And the crowds that are on the ground are still communicating on the islands, and finding out where the greatest need is will help us and the government down there, because it's the governors of the Commonwealth and of the islands that are directing things with FEMA. Where's the greatest need? And that's where we could use your help in helping us try and figure out what that picture is. You know, early on it's going to be these things here. You know, what roads are open, what's flooded, what's dark. But later on, even in Texas and in Florida, we still have needs that crowdsourcing can help us with as we start moving into rebuilding those communities, as we start working on housing solutions, some innovative housing solutions and those types of things. So it won't be just limited to the response phase, which, you know, usually only lasts, you know, a couple of weeks to a month. Then the TV cameras go away and we're left to our own devices. Social media will still be alive and well, and we'll have a lot of information coming in well after CNN and Fox and all the other networks depart and go on to the next big news story. But if you're still up and running, then we can leverage that and we can still do better for our citizens. So thank you for your participation.
I'm also excited to introduce our next speaker. Her mission is to use data to solve the biggest problems in healthcare. She does this in her role as Director for Strategic Initiatives for the Office of the CTO, and she leads the department's data profile in the service of American